going to talk with you today about one of the most northerly countries with one of the longest and most rugged coastlines in the world. This country extends more than 1,100 miles from north to south and varies in width between 270 miles to 4 miles, which tells us it's very elongated in shape. A third of the country I'm speaking about lies north of the Arctic Circle, and the entire country is dominated by mountains. These mountains, however, are not just ordinary mountains we are used to seeing here in the States. These mountains have fjords, or long inlets of the sea that penetrate inland on the west and south. This northerly country has some 50,000 islands off its extremely indented coastline. The total area of this country is over 125,000 square miles, with only 3% of this land area suitable for raising crops. Although only 3% is suitable for raising crops, farming and fishing have always been major occupations in this region. This country's capital was once called Christiania before the nation gained independence, but now is known as Oslo. Well, if you haven't already guessed by now, the country I'm speaking about is Norway, one of the world's most northerly countries with one of the longest and most rugged coastlines in the world, right here, Norway. And what about these mountains in Norway? They are unique in architecture compared to ordinary mountains due to the numerous fjords. Now, what are fjords and how did they come about? Well, a fjord is a deep, narrow, elongated sea or lake drain that has steep land on three sides. The opening towards the sea is called the mouth of the fjord and is often shallow. So how were they formed? These fjords were formed by giant glaciers that through several ice ages have shaped this remarkable landscape. So getting back to the mountainous region and the unique architecture, a fjord is a U-shaped undersea valley, and on the west coast of the Norway, this valley is often surrounded by dramatic mountain scenery. With this being said, Norway, especially the western region, draws a tremendous amount of tourism, which is a big part of their industry. Not only are the beauty of the mountains and the fjords a reason to visit Norway, however, there are several other natural attractions I'll share with you as well. There are also glaciers in Norway. I wish they was in color, but I made a few pictures so that you can see the beauty of Norway. As a matter of fact, there are around 1,600 glaciers that can be seen in Norway. Remember how many islands that we could see in Norway? Some 50,000 islands around the rugged coastline of Norway that could be visited. So there's lots of islands in Norway. Next, we have tons and tons of lakes in Norway. So the fishing, remember we talked about the fishing and the farming is a big industry there. There are at least 450,000 lakes. And the most of these lakes were created by the glacial erosion from the ice ages. So the lakes of Norway are very popular and are visited by many tourists. Of course, we talked about the mountains of Norway. There are 291 peaks for the mountains of Norway for you to visit. 291 peaks. You know, if there's mountains, there has to be waterfalls. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is in black and white. So imagine if it's in color or if it's in real life. So the waterfalls of Norway. known as Land of 1,000 Waterfalls. That's gorgeous, and notice the person standing down here is huge. Also, I don't have a picture of the rivers, but there's over 20 rivers in Norway that are over 90 miles long. So imagine that. And the Glomma is the longest and the largest river in Norway, which is 380 miles long. So that tells us there's a lot of water in Norway. And of course, we know what Norway is famous for, the forges. So we've got the forges of Norway, and there are 1,190 forges in Norway. So remember, the forges is it's the valley that has the three lands that are steep on three sides of it, and the mouth is shallow. So that's the forges, and they were made by the glaciers of the ice ages. Okay, so there's lots of natural beauty in Norway, so that I have been able to share with you today. So lots of things that can be discovered by visiting this absolutely beautiful country, which is the most northerly country in the world. So I encourage you today to plan your trip to Norway and just go and enjoy the forges and the glaciers and all the things that there are to visit in Norway.